What's up, guys? My name is Suicide Grind. Today we got some to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about why, in my opinion, Erik Rutan is one of the most important guys in death metal. So I'm just going to get right into the introduction. Erik Rutan, a fucking man born in June 10th in 1971 in New Jersey. Great guy, and he has a great smile. So I'm gonna bring in some points here of stuff, and mainly the way I do these videos. If before you've seen them, I put it like a song example. For example, we'll see very soon because we're just gonna get into it. For example, here we go. He has been producer for uh, very important bands, and I feel like this is my main reason as to why when I discovered this, I was like, wait, goddamn, these albums, like some of these are like really important albums to me, and the fact he was a vital part in making it what it is, because I mean, producing an album, if you don't know, is a very important process that needs to be taken care of with skill, and clearly the results show nothing but, you know? Uh, so, the most notable, obviously being him producing for Cannibal Corpse, uh, working on very good albums like Kill, Evisceration Plague, Torture, Red Before Black, and also Violence Unimagined, and probably the next one as well whenever that comes. He produced a little bit for Morbid Angel on the one who shall not be named, and my now it's starting to grow on me a lot. I believe Kingdom's Disdain he was on and produced a little. He did some stuff on Kingdom's Disdain, not recorded, but producing work, stuff like that in the studio. And he's worked with Morbid Angel before, of course. We're gonna get into that. Don't worry about it. Uh, he worked with Nile on Those Whom the God Detest. He had the 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 throne for the drum recording process, and if you watch a documentary, which you should, just look up Those Whom the God Detest documentary, you'll see that he's in there and he's doing God's work. He's, well, Satan's work, I guess, because we're talking about unholy death metal here. But you get what I mean. He's doing a lot of important work here, in my opinion, because he definitely motivates the band and does everything that he can do to deliver the best for the band. And of course, drum recording. I mean, you're setting up microphones and all that. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a big process. Drum recording. Some people might not think. If some people just think it's just a record button play. I mean, sure, nowadays it is because we all got fucking samples and shit with triggers, but back then it was a little more, because they record with microphones on the toms and snare. Because it just sounds better. Let's be real, samples that still sound. Glenn Fricker's though is really good. But then of course he produced it for Hate Eternal, which we're gonna talk about why he produced for Hate Eternal and why he's probably gonna continue to, because he's produced for literally every single album they've ever put out. And I know some of you are already being like, why are you saying they? We'll get into it, okay? And of course, I have to mention that he did some mastering for Chrysix. It's a band, a thrash metal band. Not entirely sure what country, but they're from a more Spanish-esque type of country, a little more Latin, those kind of countries. But they're a thrash metal band. They play pretty. I guess back in the day for this album that he mastered, Rise Then Rest, they kind of played some. It was very like, okay, we're gonna talk about the mosh pit and talk about the beer and stuff. It was very like beer mosh pit, the typical. Is that called pizza thrash? I don't exactly know, but it's that kind of thrash. If you like that stuff, definitely check it out. And if you don't, well, sucks for you, because we have 2 song examples. Well, more than 2 examples of 1 song. It's the insane transition from the riff that it opens with into the proper intro that truly gives you the feel of what the song's gonna sound like. It sounds like this. And then, of course, I want to bring your attention to, if you were wondering how the mastering sounds on, for example, the heavy guitars, because they do some chug-a-lug stuff sometimes, I will include the motherfucking heavy outro, which sounds like this. I can see your fire! Rise! Rise! And so, even just mastering is a very important aspect in the overall sound of the album and stuff. So everything there, perfect, just very nice sound, everything was really good. Nothing to complain about. He obviously knows his ways around a studio. Sure, he can mix, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for talking about his mixing. That's the important stuff that gets underappreciated in my opinion when it comes to Erik Rutan. That he's been in the studio for we're gonna have to mention, and if you just think for a second and look on Metallum, you can see that he's fucking produced for tons of bands. The list just goes on and on and on, and it probably will grow as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he mixed for more bands, and produce, but it just goes on. The list is a long one, very large list of stuff that he's produced for. But we're gonna get into some bands he's played in, and of course, I'm not exactly sure how this first example is in terms of who wrote what, but I'm gonna include this because, of course, at least the first band that everyone knows he was in is Ripping Corpse, which he was in for 1989 to 1993, and my song example for this band is Beyond Inhumanity, and the intro, which sounds like this. I don't know about you, he doesn't have to have written that, but that screams Hate Eternal to me, which we'll get into much more later. And I decided to also include what I described as the riffy part at 140. And so on to the next fucking band. Of course, that song is just a stellar song, Ripping Corpse. It kind of sucks that they split up. I feel like they should have just continued with new members and play the same songs and continue writing stuff. But I guess if they don't want to, of course they shouldn't. But I feel like it's just a missing. They just missed out on that. Ripping Corpse had great potential in my opinion. But then, of course, he was in Ripping Corpse until 1993, and what happened in 1993? He left Ripping Corpse to join the death metal legends known as Morbid Angel! And he was in Morbid Angel from 1993 to 1996. The first, he was in there with Domination, but then he left in 1997, I think. In 1997, because, well, he had another project going, But then he went back into Morbid Angel in 1998, but only live. But then in 1991, he fully joined the band again until 2002. So they recorded stuff on Gateways, and then he joined the band in 1999 to 2002, and they recorded stuff on Gateways. We'll get into. And then he left in 2002, as I said, and then in 2006 he joined again, but he only joined in 2006 to play live for, I guess, a few shows or something like that, you know, the typical good old. So he's been in and out of Morbid Angel a few times, a dozen times, definitely a lot, actually. I mean, over the course of like 20-some years. Not 20, but like at least over the course of a decade. A little over that even. Because 1993, 2006, that's a little over a decade. 3 years over. 13 years total. In and out. And it left its mark on the music, because, for example, his solo in Summoning Redemption. It's just, that solo right there, it's one of the best solos ever. I mean, the melodicness he brought into Morbid Angel, the few albums he was on, was just stellar. It's a very dark sounding but melodic feel. So it's not melodic as in it's beautiful. Of course, I think it's beautiful because the way it's composed and everything and written, it's just a beautiful solo in my opinion. But it's a dark solo, and it's just so awesome that's the one he decided to record and have lead into what was Trey's guitar solo, which we've talked about before. We don't need to mention here. But yeah, really awesome stuff. And then, of course, the song that Erik himself wrote for the album, God of the Forsaken, intro sounds just like this. And of course, that does remind us a little bit of his counterpart, but it's a really good intro riff for that song, and it's like really intense. I love the intensity of that intro. It's a very dissonant, colliding notes, you know, all that good stuff. That's just pure. It's pure evil. That's what it is. I just absolutely love that shit. It's the best in my opinion. Stuff when it sounds like that. It's just awesome. And then the riff in this part. Very, very heavy stuff going on there. And of course, I mean, his solo into just so. yeah, his work, in my opinion, in Morbid Angel, on Gateway specifically, made them get some of the best material they've ever had. And that's in my personal opinion, of course. But I think it's also somewhat objective because, I mean, Erik Rutan obviously is a stellar songwriter. His song structure, the way he goes about it, it's just it's just unmatched. It's second to none, honestly. The only one who matches that kind of structuring is Trey Assigtov himself. And that's the fucking best guitarist in death metal and metal altogether. So, I mean, fucking hell. I mean, Erik is a proper legend. And I mean, we're not even fucking done talking about the bands he's been in yet. So, we're gonna talk about the next one, which is, of course, Cannibal Corpse, which I saw live very recently, and it was obviously one of the best shows I ever went to. I made sure to be in front of Erik so I could hear his guitar the most because, I mean, let's just be fucking fair here. You know, his solos are just absolutely just the way he shreds on that goddamn fiddle. Oh yeah, baby. But yeah, at first, of course, he produced for the band for a very long time, a lot of years. But then in 2019 to 2020, he joined Cannibal Corpse as the Pat O'Brien guy was arrested for a little bit of trolling, as we like to call it here in Abyss. But he only first joined to play live with the band from 2019 to 2020. And of course, 2020, the fucking COVID shit hit. But in 2022, well, the distant future that is to come, he's fully in the band. He's now a full member of Cannibal Corpse since 2020, after playing live with the band for a year, and of course producing for the band for a fuck ton of years. And, you know, he's in the band and he recorded some stuff and wrote some stuff. And I think, although he wrote entire songs, there is one specific part that just, out of everything he's done in Cannibal Corpse on Violence Unimagined, this is the most important, and it's this fucking solo. And now, if not just the solo is amazing, the riff fucking under it. Fuck yeah, dude. I love Cannibal Corpse, no fucking doubt about it. But that amazing riff, probably one of the best riffs ever. Like, it's so simple. It's literally just E chug and then down to like a D chug. I'm talking about notes here, by the way. And it's really this one of the most simple fucking chug riffs ever, but it's so effective the way they executed it. And of course, that fucking solo, he fucking loves throwing in that beautiful melodic shit in there. I love that. You know, of course it's very evil Egyptian, Phrygian stuff, melodic, but the way he throws it in is kind of just very beautiful. For example, at the that part, it's just those notes, the way he flows notes, it's just beautiful. Even though it's like the most evil passage of notes ever, it's beautiful stuff. And is the shredding. Man, I learned that solo, of course, as you've probably seen if I put up a solo cover. I think I did. That shit is hard. That solo is fucking hard, man. One of the hardest solos I know, just because of the fucking alternating with the tremolo picking, just absolutely insane. So yeah, that's the one song that I feel he has his best work in. Of course, the songs he wrote were amazing, and we don't even need to. Hate fucking Eternal. Now we're gonna fucking talk about Hate Eternal quite a bit. And this is a band that Erik Rutan left Morbid Angel in 1997 to produce, and he's been in that band since 1997, and on to now. He's still in the band, and I mean, it's his own band, so of course he's still in the band. What the fuck do you think? It's a crazy motherfucking band. I feel like Hate Eternal has my overall favorite work of Erik Rutan. Why do I say that? Because obviously, the past ones I talked about examples, I mean, those were no jokes. I mean, I was salivating for those just a second ago. Well, here's why. Because Hate Eternal is all Erik Rutan. All of his goodness. All of his man juice. And oh man, here is why I bring this band up last. Because obviously 1997 is not in order here of what bands he's been in that are like significant, very significant. Well, the reason why I bring this up last is because it's the most extreme out of the four, and that kind of ties into why my favorite work of Erik Rutan is fucking Hate Eternal. I mean, we will just fucking take the Fury Within intro. Yeah, that shit is fucking insane. Just absolute fucking madness, riffing, fucking blasting. You know, I fucking love that shit. You know, it's so awesome. It's all of that stuff that Erik does in, like, here's what I talked about before with like the God of the Forsaken. Every riff that he writes is very dissonant and evil and very ugly sounding. It sounds disgusting, everything he writes. And but it's like dialed up to an extreme level of disgustingness of riff god. And I mean, that's why my favorite work of Erik is Hate Eternal, because it's just the most extreme level of dissonance and evilness that you can have without branching into a Triassic Toph riff writing territory. And it's worth a standing ovation, of course. The next song I want to example you guys with is the Eternal Ruler intro. Now, that is some insane shit. But if you thought that was insane, just check out his solo at 1:38 into the song. Yeah, the way he goes about solos in his own band, I feel like I wish he was more like that in Cannibal. Hopefully on the next album, fingers crossed, he will record a lot more like that kind of stuff. I mean, because that kind of soloing is just absolute evilness. I mean, I don't even need to say anything because, like, that shit is the most shreddy shit you can get without being, annoying, Because, like, there's a level of shred that's like, this is evil and just amazing evil shredding. But then there's a point where it's just like, this isn't really impressive anymore because it just sounds boring if you listen to it for a long time. And I'm not even talking about like Jason Richardson, Johan Nitian. I'm not even talking about Rings of Saturn shredding. That's still within my real realm of, okay, this is fine. But when we're like delving into what's now coming, it's like, I don't know, it's a little too much. Come on, what happened to the songwriting? It's just like, hey, look what I can do. And, that's just not good stuff. And then, another one of my favorite songs from the very same album, Lake Motherfucking Ablaze, intro and verse, here we go. It's just insanity. This song, the first time I heard it, with those blasts, blew my mind. Quite a bit, in fact. Because it's just like, wow. That shit is fucking extreme. Then we have the, I believe, tiny solo at 143. Which is just, wow. I mean, that's all I can say, just wow. That shit is insanity at its fucking peak. And of course, if you need any more affirmation that it's a great song, we have the fucking evil riff, chaos, and rain riff at 2:36 moment. That will do it for Lake Ablaze, because that's all I have to say about that song, because goddamn, what a fucking tune. It's pretty obvious that this is one of my favorite albums. So is Flames and Burbity Shibbity Ham in a Hand. So is Fury and Flames. But Phoenix Amongst the Ashes as well. Those two albums, fucking amazing. But then, Infernus dropped. And even, so far, the stuff that's in Hate Eternal already was insane. It's at the point where it's just it's hard to make it more insane than that. But then Erik Rutan in the studio fucking does it without a fucking sweat. Locust Swarms, fucking massive, just absolute asshole ripper of an intro. Just fucking check this shit out. I mean, like, literally just sitting here and thinking about it gave me goosebumps. Because even hearing the stuff before that, all the albums with all that, King of All Kings, Eternal, that stuff was already fucking insane, but then Locust Swarm just comes out of nowhere and just fucking smacks you, just fucking violates you in the face. Just absolutely brutal assault on your everything. My asshole was absolutely torn into pieces, into shreds. God damn, this feels like everything was ripped into shreds. Cause like it's that fucking insanity of Locust Swarm's fucking intro. It's like ripping off your skin by hand, just bit by bit, just holy shit heaviness levels. And then of course the fucking solo is 54 seconds in. Just absolutely madness. And it doesn't even end there, because we have the insane shit at 2:19 up until 2:48. God fucking damn! That shit is, like, if you couldn't tell, this is probably my favorite Hate Eternal song out of all of them. The other one is the Eternal Ruler, of course, and League of Blaze. I'm using my favorite songs. Just, God fucking damn. That shit is mean. That shit is brutal. Everything about it is just absolute chaos reigning. Fucking bring more of that. I'm anticipating that as soon as this Cannibal tour is over, I'm hoping he goes into the studio with Hate Eternal, because Cannibal Corpse just released an album. It's still fresh meat to me. That's practically yesterday. But Hate Eternal, it's been a few years, still practically yesterday, but I really want a new Hate Eternal album, because I feel like we need more of that insanity. Please, Erik, more insanity. We need that shit. It's just fucking insane. I love that, all that. I know a lot of my descriptions can be boiled down to, this is insane, this is crazy, this is awesome, this is dissonant, this is evil, this is heavy. I know, but I mean, that's why I use the fucking song examples to back my arguments up, because I feel like even though my descriptions are very predictable, when I actually put the song example in place, it starts making a lot of sense, because I mean, just fucking listen to it. Of course, it's fucking evil and dissonant and everything and all that. It's like the most fucking chaos I've ever heard in music overall. And I've heard fucking Anal Nafrock, which is arguably one of the most chaotic bands ever. But Hate Eternal just, dude, sign me up. My collection is already growing in vinyls, but it's about to grow even more, because I want Infernus most of all first, important, because of course, just the fucking writing of this man, Erik Rutan, he got my utmost respect. But I hope this at least validated some of my points on why I think he's one of the most important guys in death metal. Because not only did he help a lot of bands out by producing and helping out with some drum recording and mastering, being a really awesome guy, he also was in a few bands, legendary fucking bands at that, and recorded, wrote, and gave them some ideas and probably sprung up some goddamn cool shit as well. Like, giving feedback here and there. You know, that shit just fucking amazes me how fucking amazing everything Erik Rutan touches is. I haven't checked out everything that he's produced for, but I really want to now because everything I've heard him produce and everything I've heard him master and record on has been just absolutely stellar stuff. It's just stuff that's just, if you know it, you're gonna be like, yeah, duh, it's fucking Erik Rutan. But if you hear that shit for the first time, like I'm doing a lot of this now, and it's absolutely insane, you know? Just hats off to this man. I mean, hats already fucking off. I never had it on because I didn't feel like it, and I honestly shooting this video on a whim here because, goddamn. But yeah, I feel like there's not much more than that I can say on a goddamn. I'm a Suicide Grind, and you've been watching why, in my opinion, the Erik Rutan man is one of the most important guys in death metal. You know, Auto, stay cute.